I mean, Lioness on the Rise playing, and I love the song, but I really can't dance too well, so I don't want to embarrass myself. But I see plenty Lioness out here. Plenty. Ophelia, Monica. Oh my God, Sharon. Where's Dolita? Dolita right there. Plenty women, and plenty women, I hope, from Sandy Bay as well. Sorry?
Ansela.
Don't fool you. I am the daughter of a woman from South Central Windward, from a Windward constituency. She's right there, and that's why Daniel Cummins remembered to say that I'm the daughter of Jennifer Eustace. So, Jen, big it up. All right. So, being Jen's daughter actually helps me a lot tonight because Jen is a farmer. After she was unceremoniously run out of Vinlec, when they beheaded Vinlec, and Vinlec at the time was very profitable, they didn't just take her, they took the Honorable St. Clair Leacock, they took several. And they've never been able to justify it, but that's another story for another day. But Jen didn't stay home and mourn, she went straight into farming, and she farms in Mount Grennan. And her big misfortune was going into farming after the ULP came into power. So the flow of green just started to dry up. It's evident in the parched and potholed feeder roads that we used to talk about so much. We need better feeder roads, we need better feeder roads. But frankly, if there's nothing traveling on the feeder roads now, what's the justification even for that? Because I'm not the first and I will not be the last to tell you what is happening to banana in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're trying to go organic and we can't even get the necessary support because the reality is organic bananas are appreciated by European markets far more than here, and therefore greater value, greater money. But when you have VAT on the very organic materials you need, how are you then supposed to realize any profit? So we're not getting the access to the market because apparently the sea outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is too shallow to justify the geese boat coming in here to take bananas out. It can't be what is happening internally. It has to be that the water has dried up. So we can't get access to those markets. We can't get internal support. We can't get VAT removed from the organic materials. What are we to do? And how does this relate in particular to Sandy Bay and the women of Sandy Bay? Because women of Sandy Bay, women throughout the windward side of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, women farmers, you are all aware that when you used to bend over next to a male farmer and harvest your crop and see some semblance of financial independence, that has all changed. Your male farmer, whether he was your husband, your boyfriend, your coworker, he now has to take a job as a security guard in Kingstown. He has left the field. It's mostly you. It's mostly you. So you take a man who enjoyed financial independence that farming brings. Because we're not like the farms with Chiquita and Dole in Latin America. We have small farms owned by the very people who are farming them. So when you lose that sort of independence, you have a serious change in the society as well. So you bend over and you're working. The economy is so bad that other people in the community can't even start the nurseries needed because the cost of doing business in St. Vincent is ridiculously high. Try paying Vinlec and running a small business. So there aren't enough nurseries and you still have children. What happens to them? Where's the daycare? Plus, the bananas are only being sold to St. Kitts and Trinidad. St. Kitts is a very tiny market. They ain't buying no small bananas. Those are being thrown away while children eat corn kernels at school. There's some ironies here that we all have to be very uncomfortable with as women. But there's a particular irony I want to address tonight. And that is the irony of our brothers and sisters in Canada, Toronto, Canada, London, England, New York in the United States, and Barbados. We're going to stop on Barbados in a moment. coming out in all sorts of weather to protest the status of women in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And Sandy Bay women, if you think that the Yugi Farrell issue is just politics, if you think Margaret Parsons is just politics, and Michelle Andrews is just politics, if you think Josette Bibi and the many women we've seen victimized in this country by this administration, if you think they are just politics, let me ask you something. When you get no work from the arrowroot and you can't find the work from agriculture generally, when these things happen and you have to go and seek a job from a man in a position of power, what sacrifice are you asked to make as a woman in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? The wrong song played, it shouldn't have been Lioness on the Rise. It should have been, I'm going to keep my honey and die with my dignity. That is what should have been played. Because that disproportionately affects you in Sandy Bay if unemployment is high. Camilo Gonsalves claimed that youth unemployment is not in the 40s in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That was a mistake. I agree. It has to be higher than that. Because for every 10 children you meet on this street who've graduated from secondary school or community college, how many of them working? Don't tell me 5. Don't tell me 5 are gainfully employed. And we don't speak about underemployment either, which is a critical problem in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You know what it does to have your A-levels or your associate's degree unaccredited. And you have to go and work keeping time or cleaning the street or begging somebody to take you into their home because you have no lodging. You know how many children in this country that's happening to? And when it happens to children, it is much harder for girls. Because when a girl has nothing, there's one thing men always think is for sale. So I have something to say. Some men, we can do better. That's what the NDP is saying. We can do better. And when we say we can do better, we are not merely speaking. We is not merely Daniel Cummings. It is not Monty Roberts alone. It is not Israel Bruce. It is not St. Clair Leacock. It is not Dr. Friday. It's not Arnhem Eustace. It is not Zita Barnwell. It is not any of us alone. It is every single Vincentian. Every single one of us. We can do better. We can. The can in there means we have the capacity. Don't doubt your ability. We have been made to doubt it for too long when we accept mediocrity. When we accept that the hospital doesn't have the testing strips. When we accept that sometimes nurses lack the compassion to give people the care. And by the way, sometimes the nurses lack the compassion because you think it's easy for them working there and can't provide basic services to people in the suffering. Yes, you almost start to resent the person suffering. That's when we lose our self-belief. The message we can do better is about all of us in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We should not have to take a page out of the book of our sister feminists in Barbados who decided that St. Vincent can do better when at a lecture at the University of the West Indies, they disrupted the Honorable Ralph E. Gonsalves. Thank you. No one who believes that the way to treat with serious allegations is to maintain a dignified silence. Allegations that directly concern women and women's agency in this world should be able to speak anywhere in this world without disruption. No one, not Camilo Gonsalves, not Ralph Gonsalves, not anyone who maintains that silence, who denies their accountability. And not just anywhere outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We should be protesting here too. We shouldn't just be sharing videos of brave women in Barbados, brave men and women in New York, brave men and women in Toronto, brave men and women in London. It shouldn't happen so. We shouldn't wait for panel discussions in St. Lucia about what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We can do better. An NDP administration of government is going to step out of women's way by creating the space within which women can manifest their agency. That's what we can do better is about. And it starts with us holding ourselves accountable first. In the coming weeks and months, you are going to see a wave coming. A wave of women, several of them standing up right here in the front row. A wave of women who, through organizations like the NDP Women's Arm, are going to start to bring about changes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. A wave of women who are going to push for real accountability, sexual harassment policies, a change to policies that disproportionately affect girls, penalize girls for their bodies by sending them to other schools with different curriculum when they get pregnant. Boys don't face no sort of sanction whatsoever. There are so many things that we need to address. And we're going to do it. We're going to fight. We're going to hear all sides of the argument. But we will do what is progressive, what is right, and what is fair. We can do better. And we is all a we. Because we are one Vinci. Good night.